Hi there, I'm Jenna Tauble, and this is Good Money Moves, where we share financial tips, advice, and all kinds of other fun stuff to help you feel financially empowered. And today I have with me our President CEO, Brent Rempe, and he is here to talk with me about credit unions and why they are so important. But before we dig into that, Brent, why don't you share a little bit about yourself and what brought you to credit unions?
Yeah, great. Thank you, Jenna. I'm really excited to be here. And I'm not only here on Good Money Moves, but also at First Alliance Credit Union in Rochester, Minnesota. I spent the first part of my career in education. In education, I felt every day I made a connection to my students and made a difference in their lives. Coming into credit unions, at first there was a little bit of a learning curve. I didn't quite tangibly see that line of sight to making a difference. And then I went through a program which you're a graduate of, Credit Union Development Education. Yeah. Learned all about the credit union difference, what we stood for, and I decided I'm a credit union employee for life.
Awesome. So that's a great segue into kind of my first question for you, and that is, what is a credit union? What is the difference between a credit union and a bank, and why do we even need credit unions if banks exist?
Sure. So credit unions, first and foremost, offer very similar services to banks. So checking accounts, savings accounts. Some credit unions might offer investment services or be able, through partnerships, including us, being able to offer insurance products. So certainly maybe meet the same means to an end, but I think it really comes down to the principles and the social mission and goals of credit unions. And so first and foremost, we're not for-profit cooperative. Banks are for-profit. And the goal is to give money back to the shareholders. In the bank, that shareholder might be a family, might be an individual, a group of individuals, or a group of stockholders. Credit unions, every single member of a credit union, so that means anyone with a savings account at the credit union, is a member and an owner and gets a voice in our governance through a vote or being able to run for our board of directors.
Yeah. So sounds like credit unions have a very different structure in place, even though on the outside they seem very similar because they do offer similar products and services. It's really that structure, kind of that foundation of how they're built, that really differentiates them. And I assume that that means then that credit unions really have a different philosophy when it comes to working with their members and how they maybe return some of those what would be profits back into the membership. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, certainly a lot of times members experience profits with lower rates on loans or higher rates on deposits, maybe more service, maybe giving back to the community. So we certainly need to make profit. Our regulator, the Minnesota Department of Commerce, and the National Credit Union Administration require us to make profit every year to be able to save for a rainy day, very similar to our members saving for that emergency account. Right? That's where our profit goes, into a long-term emergency rainy day fund, if you will. But we, day to day, make less profit as a credit union than we would as a bank because we are here for our members through those, again, lower rates, better rates.
Yeah, awesome. So one of the things that I hear you say a lot is that credit unions are community development organizations. Can you kind of talk a little bit more about what you mean when you say that, and how that really maybe impacts what credit unions do versus what a bank would do? Sure.
My favorite movie is It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey. There's a bank run, or savings and loan run in that case. He comes in, and then George Bailey gives this speech, and It's a Wonderful Life, about when you deposit money at the savings and loan, your money is not at the savings and loan. So your money is not at the credit union. It is in the community. It's in your house, in your car, and in your personal loan to pay for an emergency. So our members' money is reinvested in the community. And that's small business down the street. We have small businesses and entrepreneurs are one of the things that we're really striving to better serve. And that's part of community development. And so there's that, but it's us coming together to create opportunities for our local community. We're a Rochester credit union. We're Rochester's first credit union. We're based in the Greater Rochester. We serve Greater Rochester, Southeast, an extended area, a footprint in Southeast Minnesota. So your leaders of the credit union, decisions are made locally, and we're locally run and administered. And I think that's, again, going back to that community development aspect.
Yeah, amazing. So a lot of that, I think, also then kind of plays into our mission, vision, and values at the credit union, which we rolled out brand new ones recently. Do you want to talk a little bit about those and kind of talk about what those mean for us as an organization?
Certainly. I'm so excited about our new mission, vision, values. We went into strategic planning in August of 2024, and the board asked us as a credit union, do our mission, vision, values really match our strategic plan and where we're trying to go to be that community development organization? Well, the team, we put together a team, we assembled what we called a Mars group. So the Mars group is essentially, if we were to restart First Alliance on Mars, we only have room for 5 to 7 people. The team nominated team members which they felt exhibited what it meant to be, what represented what First Alliance stood for. So that group went down into a basement for 2 days and really crafted our new mission, vision, values. And so this is employee-led. And after 2 days in the basement, we came up with this mission, vision, values, and we did a litmus test. Every employee who was in that room was like, yeah, this is who we are. This is what we do. So it was really important that these are not aspirational, except for the vision, that's aspirational. But the mission and values are what we do and who we are. And so our new mission is we show up, we listen to your story, and we provide possibilities. Our vision, the aspiration, is a financial oasis where everyone has the access to the opportunities they deserve. And we have 3 P's for our values: passion, persistence, and presence.
Powerful.
Very powerful. Add a 4th P. Powerful.
Yeah. So I want to dig into that a little bit more, because I think the term financial oasis, where does that come from? It's a really kind of powerful image if you really think about it. But let's maybe talk a little bit more about where that came from and how we came up with Oasis.
Sure. So thinking the opposite of Oasis, maybe not a perfect opposite, but antonym to Oasis would be desert. So we've heard of food desert. In our industry, credit union industry, we speak about what we call financial deserts. And so there's communities throughout the United States, both in urban areas and in rural areas, that are lacking financial services, that lack a credit union or bank. So we really want to provide access, whether in person or digitally, to folks that otherwise wouldn't have access to mainstream financial services. We want to be welcoming to members that need a first start, members that need a fresh start. We want to build that financial oasis compared to that financial desert.
So really kind of becoming the place that people can go in order to feel like they have opportunities to move forward, to meet their goals, where they can feel financial safety is what I think of when that comes to mind.
Financial safety, we want to remove barrier and provide opportunities, provide access to the possibilities that are out there.
Yeah, amazing. So what else should our community know about credit unions in general? Like, when you think of financial services, a lot of times people think of, managing their money just day to day and like how they're accessing those things. But when you put your money into a credit union, like, it means something different than if you're putting it in a bank. Yeah. So talk a little bit more about that. Like how should members think about their money when it's in the credit union?
I think some choices matter, and where you put your money matters. And so many folks, I don't care, where you're from, what your background is, so many folks want to do good and want to have impact. You can have impact with your money if it's on account with a credit union. If maybe you've heard no or heard that we're not able to help you from another financial institution, give a credit union a try. Because credit unions at their core are driven by these goals or these principles and philosophies of helping people, of being there for folks when they need. Our story, we were started in the Great Depression when a teacher was turned down from a local bank for getting a loan. And 7 firefighters came together and lent that teacher money. So that whole idea of people helping people, that's what that means. And it goes back, I'm going to just circle it back to It's a Wonderful Life and George Bailey. Your money when you bank at a credit union is in your neighbor's car, your neighbor's house. Mm-hmm. Helps provide for your neighbor in a moment of need. Mm-hmm. And it's all about us building the community together as you participate in a credit union.
Yeah. So back to your point, it's all about community development, and that just looks a little bit different for a credit union because they have, or we have, I should say, that local touch. We know when you walk in our doors, we know that you live down the street or that you live, in the town over, and we understand a little bit maybe better than a large bank would about why you may need that loan or why you're coming and asking for the help that you're asking, because we're a little bit more tapped into the community that way.
Yeah. And just to reiterate our mission at First Alliance, we show up, mm-hmm. we listen to your story, yes. and we provide possibilities. Yeah. That's what it's all about.
It is, 100%. So I think one other thing I want to talk about is I think there's a lot of myths out there about credit unions and kind of their ability to help because they are maybe a little bit more community focused and aren't necessarily always the large giant chimes of the world, right. Or and so I'm wondering if you can maybe kind of dispel a little bit of myth out there about what it means to join a credit union or how you join a credit union, because there is kind of that field of membership gets right. talked about too, and it just doesn't always feel as accessible, but really they are.
Right. Yeah, so credit unions historically, and there's still a lot of confusion, I think, even with the name credit union. And to top that off, a lot of credit unions, some of their origin stories, so ours goes back to municipal employees, mm-hmm. teachers, and firefighters were at our start. Some credit unions were actually founded as serving employees of a union. Mm. So credit union, they're terms created independently, but there's a lot of confusion there just because of our history. Mm-hmm. Their First Alliance is open to a 14-county region in southeast Minnesota. Anyone who lives, works, worships, goes to school, or regularly conducts business in those 14 counties. Mm-hmm. And some credit unions also have other ways to join. So there's a variety. There's a credit union out there for you, regardless of where you live. I can almost guarantee you, any person in the United States, there's at least one credit union you can join. And if you're in southeast Minnesota, please consider First Alliance.
Yes, please do. We would love to have you as a member. Anything else? We're almost at time. So anything else that you think we should know about credit unions that we haven't talked about already?
Personally, I'm very passionate about credit unions, and because we're here to make a difference. I wake up every day to serve our employees, and I'm driven by the fact that our employees wake up every day to serve our members. Yeah. And it's just such a neat place to be part of and to come to work every day.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, that is it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, Brent.
Thanks, Jenna.